Hi guys, I wanted to answer an age-old question that I get asked all the time. The question is, how long should my pump last? Okay, now keep in mind with what I'm about to tell you, this is going to vary considerably over a lot of things. You know, I mean, weather in Canada is a lot different than weather in Florida. It's going to affect that pump, it's going to affect that motor. If you have a lot of bugs and you know, debris around the pump, it's going to change things. So keep in mind that this is going to change with everyone's situation. But the basic answer to this is if you can get 6 to 8 years out of your pump, I'd be happy with that. Okay, that's a good normal life for a pump. Now, I've seen them last 13 years, I've seen them last 3 years. It depends on your situation, okay? Now here's some things that can extend the life of your pump. Number one, if you're closing your pool up in the wintertime and your pump's going to sit there for 5-6 months not running, you can take your pump inside. You don't have to, but if you get it out of the weather, you take it inside, you put it in the basement, you put it in the garage, it's going to help extend the life of your pump. Okay, that's number one. That's a big one. Number two is something I've really seen that kills people's pumps is ants get in there. Ants will get inside that pump. You know, if you're closing it for the winter or whatnot, I'm just making a point. In the fall or in the spring, ants can get in there. They'll build a nest. They're making connections with electricity that's not supposed to be there. You cut your pump on and you fry your pump up. Okay, so I always encourage customers to treat for ants around the pump and filter as they treat for it around their pool, to keep them out of there. Okay, that's another big thing. If you have a lot of ants and insects in your yard, keep those ants out of your motor, or they're going to get in there and they're going to fry this thing out. And the problem is with that is once they get in there, you cut your pump on, it fries it, it's done. You got to replace the motor. So keep the ants out of there. Okay. But those are some tips for you. Now, whether you run your pump 2 hours a day or you run it 12 hours a day, the physics behind an electric motor is you're not really saving your pump any life. You know, I personally run my pump 24 hours a day. Now I do that because I'm in the swimming pool business and I don't have time to go home and take care of my pool all the time. You don't have to do that, and if I was at home, I wouldn't do that either. But I run mine 24 hours a day. I cut it on in April, I cut it off in October. That thing runs the whole time. You're not going to damage your pump by running it more, okay? And that goes just by the physics of an electric motor. You know, if you run it 2 hours a day or 10 hours a day, you're not hurting your pump anymore by doing that, okay? Another thing to really make sure you don't burn your pump up is with an above ground pump, the water going through the pump and the resistance of that water keeps your pump cool. If your water level gets down in your skimmer and you're running your pump with no water in it, that's going to burn your pump up over time. You know, for instance, I've had people that went out of town, they came back 5 days later, their pool was empty and their pump had been running the whole time. That's going to heat a pump up, and all that heat is going to kill that pump. Okay, so that's another tip for you. But basically, to answer your question, 6 to 8 years on an above ground pump is common. I'd be happy with that.